I just watched the new movie Fast X. Is it any good? How many butter pumps will it get? Let's find out.
My baby likes
Hello, my butter babies. So let's get into the new movie Fast X. True confession. I think I have seen all of maybe one movie in this now 10 movie franchise all the way through. And I think it was the very first Fast and Furious. Of course, because the Fast franchise has been such a phenomenon over the past 22 years, it's hard to get away from the pop culture that surrounds it. So there may have been more than a few people, places, Easter eggs, callbacks, or references that only someone who is familiar with this series would know. Those things in this movie went completely over my head, but even though I missed a lot of the winks and nods this movie gives to its core audience, those moments did not diminish my enjoyment of this film. And enjoy this film I did. Now, truth be told, because I am intimately familiar with all the pop culture surrounding this franchise, I am well aware that these movies gleefully defy physics, gravity, logic, all those things. I know the cars they race around the globe are damn near indestructible. I know the stunts they pull off in said cars, again, defy every law of physics, gravity, science, and, well, honestly, plausibility and logic in the whole damn book. Knowing that, I turned my brain off for this movie. I literally turned off all the lights in the old cranium and enjoyed the ride. Because you have to. In order to fully enjoy this movie, you 100% cannot take it seriously. At all. The movie does most of that work for you because it doesn't even take itself seriously. If you're able to sit back, relax, and let this ridiculous movie just wash all over you like ridiculous waves gently lapping on the ridiculous shore, girl, you'll be just fine. And what you'll find in the middle of it all is actually a pretty solid story. The gist of it is, in the events of Fast 5, Hernan Reyes, a drug lord, is killed by Dom Toretto and Luke Hobbs. We find out in Fast X that Hernan had a son, Dante, who witnessed the whole thing and now is out to destroy Dom and his family. And we find out in the mid-credits scene that he's also out to destroy Luke Hobbs as well. What makes this revenge trope so interesting is Dante, played brilliantly here by Jason Momoa, we'll get to him in a second, is full-on psychopath. So much so that he doesn't want to just kill Dom and his Fast family. He wants them all to suffer first. So for most of the movie, we're working with Dante first destroying the family's reputation, then stealing all their money, paying mercenaries all over the globe to help him destroy the family with the family's own money, putting the family on an international most wanted list as terrorists, planning on blowing up the Vatican, kidnapping Dom's son, getting Dom's wife thrown in a black ops prison in the middle of Antarctica with Charlize Theron, more of her in a second, killing off a couple of the family members, then seemingly killing off the rest of the family, and finally attempting to kill Dom and his son after he's made them suffer enough. Drawing out their suffering, to me, is way more interesting than "you killed my father, prepare to die. And while no one in this movie travels to outer space in a car, they really blew their load in Fast 9 on that one. The car chase action scenes are nevertheless still way over the top. So much so, as I said in my fresh out of the theater reaction link somewhere up in here, there were several times I literally laughed out loud at the ridiculousness of what was happening on screen. Strangely enough, I was the only one in the theater that was cackling. I was like, y'all can't be taking this seriously, right? He and his car are literally being dropped off into highway traffic from a plane, and the car and driver land on two bad guy cars, completely demolish those two cars, bounces, lands back into traffic, and keeps on going. Then his car is literally hooked by two harpoons shot out of two helicopters, and then through the power of his superpowered car, he literally takes out both helicopters. And now he's literally driving down the side of a dam while two semi-trucks explode behind him. Like, we're not talking about a small little dam here. We're talking about a dam as big as, like, the Hoover Dam. He's literally driving down the side of a dam with his son with him in the passenger seat. So, y'all don't think this shit is funny? It's just me. Okay, bet. It's very clear this movie is heading to an ultimate showdown. Presently, it's scheduled to be a two-part finale to this franchise, but I've heard rumblings they may make the finale a trilogy instead. I guess it all depends upon the box office, and we'll see how it does this weekend. But because it's heading to its conclusion, they're throwing everything at this movie at once. And by everything, I mean everyone. It feels like if you ever made even the smallest of appearances in the previous 9 films, baby, if you were a featured extra, honey, they're calling you back for this movie. There are over 20 people in the main cast for this movie. Some were just in it for cameos, others were there for the entire span of the movie. But it felt like even those that only popped in for a quick cameo were setting the stage to come back for even more in the final installment of this franchise. I would say people like Helen Mirren or Rita Moreno or Jason Statham or even Scott Eastwood were all wasted in this film because they were all in literally one, maybe 2 scenes apiece. But except for Rita Moreno's character, which her character really did feel like a one and done kind of a character, it really feels like we haven't seen the last of any of those characters. It was chocked full of all the characters you've grown to know and love. Even 1 or 2 that seemingly have risen from the dead. Shout out to my forever queen, Gal Gadot, whose character Giselle is, surprise, surprise, alive and well. So let's talk about a few of the standouts in the sea of actors who popped in for a quick check. First and foremost, we must talk about Jason Momoa, one of the best camp villains, I'm just gonna say it, of all time. Camp! Jason positively eats up every scene he's in. He leaves no crumbs, honey. He is delightfully devilish throughout this entire movie. Yes, he's a full-on psychopath and doesn't shy away from showing that part of himself off, but you're never afraid of him. You see him do some really fucked up shit, but the way he does it is so comedically over the top, it makes you want to go party with him after he comes out of his psychotic fugue. Also, Jason plays Dante decidedly queer, and yet it's never a caricature, excuse me. In this movie, Jason walks the fine line between being a queer character and being a queer character stereotype, and he never crosses the line. And I so appreciated that about his performance. He was out, he was loud, he wore all the pastels, honey, and he leaned into that femme queer energy. But it was respectful. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if that was a character choice Jason came up with on his own. If he did, it was a smart choice. Hands down, Jason Momoa is the best part of this movie. John Cena as Uncle Jacob. You know, in the past, I've had a thing or two to say about wrestlers moving over into the acting lane. Most are either just okay actors or they'll never play anything other than a particular kind of character. John Cena was really good in this role, but other than Peacemaker, he really hasn't been afforded the opportunity to play anything deeper than surface level characters. Some actors make an entire career by playing surface level characters, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It is what it is. But there was a real opportunity in this movie for John to dig just a little bit deeper, and he didn't. He stood out to me because on one or two occasions I was like, oh, okay, this moment can kind of get deep, but it never got there. I like John. Much like David Bautista, another wrestler who cannot act but is getting better at it. I really do hope that John starts doing more diverse work. I hope Hollywood and audiences allow him to do more diverse work. I'd really like to see what he can do. Charlize Theron as Cypher. I really can't get enough of action star Charlize. She is just so delicious to watch in fight scenes. She has two big fight scenes in this movie, and in both of them I was glued to the screen. She is an amazing physical performer, from Atomic Blonde to Old Guard to her appearances in this Fast franchise. She never disappoints when she's cracking heads open on screen. Ludacris. Ludacris should never do another fight scene in his entire life. Seriously, Luda, just don't. He is another actor that I really can't understand why he doesn't do more work outside of the Fast franchise, because he's a really good actor. I remember him in Crash, and he was phenomenal in that movie. But it felt like, at least in this movie, he was just there to hang out, have a good time and a good kiki with all his friends, maybe shoot a scene or two, and cash a quick check. Ludacris deserves more. But then again, maybe he doesn't want more. Maybe he's content with doing the Fast franchise and doesn't want to do other work. If that's the case, that's a real damn shame, because he's a really good actor. Pete Davidson is another standout who had a cameo. You know, I'm so glad Pete is continuing to work. One never knows what's going to happen once you leave the hallowed halls of Saturday Night Live. A lot of actors have gone on to great things. But then again, there's a list of where are they now, which is just as long. But so far, Pete seems to be thriving. Good for him. He was really fun in his brief cameo in this movie. As for the rest of the cast, they're just okay. No one really stood out, not even Vin Diesel. That being said, I didn't hate any of them in their roles. They were just fine. The wonderful part of this franchise is most of the actors have been in the respective roles for years now. some even decades. So they have completely embodied their individual characters. No one is miscast. But on the flip side, no one I haven't mentioned already went above and beyond in their roles either. They're just okay. This movie is a really great popcorn movie. Sometimes you need a movie where you can just disconnect your brain from its stem and just ride the wave. Not every movie is an award winner. Not every movie needs to be. Some movies just need to be dumb fun. And boy, is Fast X ever dumb fun. This movie comes recommended as good dumb fun that you will not regret living through when it's over. Go see it. So how many butter pumps am I gonna give Fast X? 3. That's right, 3. It would have earned 4, but he literally drove down the side of a dam with a fireball in hot pursuit of him and lived. I can't. So now I turn it over to you, my beautiful butter babies. Have you seen Fast X? If so, what did you think? How many butter pumps would you give it? Sound off down below. I want to hear all about it. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, butter babies. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.